Let's take a look at how to delegate control to parts and pieces of your Active Directory. So let's open up Active Directory and Admin Tools here, Active Directory Users and Computers. And in Active Directory Users and Computers, we have a couple OUs. Let's say we've got the test OU here. And for the purpose of example here, I'll right-click the test OU and we'll say Delegate Control. So one of the reasons you have OUs in the first place is to delegate control over various objects such as users, groups, and computers. So if you right-click and say Delegate Control, we can go through the wizard and choose what parts and pieces to delegate control of. So first of all, we have to select which user or group do we want to delegate control to. And we can search for some users and groups here, and I'll go ahead and just pick on a user account named Bob. There's Bob. And in the wizard there, I'm saying then that I want to delegate control to Bob. The next question is, what do you want to delegate? Now, the list here is a list of common tasks Microsoft seems to think you're going to delegate the most often. And it's true that some of these are easy to delegate through the wizard. For example, resetting user passwords. That's a very common help desk task, and this is a very easy thing to delegate through the wizard here. Managing group policy, unlinking and linking group policy to this OU. Manage group policy links. Let's say that what we want to delegate is not in this list. So it's not something simple like managing user accounts or managing group accounts. Something a little more particular. We can create a custom task to delegate if it's not in the list. And the next question then is, over what types of objects do you want to delegate control over? Now the default says that all objects in this container. So all objects would include user accounts, group accounts, computer accounts, etc. But let's say we only want to grant control over user accounts and nothing else. Well, you would check the second radio button here, and it gives you a list of all possible types of objects you could delegate control over. Now some of these may not seem so familiar, but if you scroll down, you'll see some familiar objects such as computer objects, and scroll down some more, you'll see a group object. So computers, groups, we've got users down at the bottom of the list. So there's users. Let's say we want to delegate control over a certain aspect of user objects. Now also at the very bottom, you can give permission to allow someone to create or delete particular types of objects as well. Let's say I don't want to do that. I just want to delegate control over managing a certain aspect of user objects. So now it says, okay, what level of control over user objects do you want to grant permission to? So if you check all three checkboxes at the top, you'll get a full list of everything you could possibly delegate control over for a user object. And if you scroll through this, you'll see there's quite a few things here. So an absurd example I usually use is fax number. So I'm going to delegate control to Bob over just user objects and just the ability to read and write fax numbers. And click Next. And that's it. So you've just gone through the delegation of control wizard. So to look at this manually, how did Bob actually get permission to the test OU here? You can right-click the test OU and choose Properties, and you should have a Security tab. And it's a good thing that we don't, so I can show you that what if that Security tab is missing? Well, what that means is you're not viewing advanced features. You go back to Active Directory, View Advanced Features, and now when we right-click the test OU, choose Properties, we'll have the Security tab. Now Bob is in the list, but nothing's checked. What it does say, though, is that for special permissions to click on Advanced. So we can't see what he's got. We'll have to click on Advanced. And on the Permissions tab, let's find Bob. There he is. Let's find out what he's got. Click on Edit, and looking in the list here, we see he's only got permission on user objects. And scrolling through the list, nothing is checked but read and write fax number. So I show this to demonstrate the fact that you don't have to use the wizard. You could do it manually through your normal permissions, your normal access control list area here. It works just like NTFS. If you're familiar with NTFS, this is all a piece of cake as well. So, however, sometimes the wizard does make it easier for you to accomplish delegation of control of certain tasks.